Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sipuramesius. Myself from the Lost Princess. Let's take a quick look here and share the screen and see what it is that we can learn from that. Okay, hold on just 1 second. There you go. Okay, can you see the text? Just 1 second. Okay, hold on just 1 second. Hold on. Uh, just 1 second. Hold on. So, as I was saying, when I so rudely interrupted myself, so he meets the princess and he asks her, she's in the castle, and he asks her, she asks him, "Do you know who I am?" And he says, "Yo, you're the Lost Princess." He said, "How did you come here?" She said, "Because my father, the king, let the word escape, namely, the not good should take you. And here's the place is the not good, a place of the not good." And told her if I was very distressed, and he went and she told him, "Yes, how can I take you out?" She said, "Take yourself a year, just a whole year. You must yearn for me to take me out of here. Whenever you have free time, you must only yearn and ask and hope expectantly to take me out, and you must fast. On the last day of the year, you must fast, and you must not sleep for the entire 24 hours period." And he went and did so. At the end of the year, the last day, he fasted, did not sleep, and he arose and he went there. In other words, to the king's daughter, take her out. And as we said, he saw a tree where they were growing beautiful apples, very desirable to his eyes, and he went and he ate from them. And as soon as he ate the apple, he fell down, and sleep overtook him, and he slept for a very long time. And his attendant tried to awake him, but he would not be awakened at all. Later, he awoke from his sleep and asked the attendant, "Where am I in the world?" The attendant told him the whole story. "You've been sleeping for a very long time. It's already several years, and I've sustained myself from the fruit." And the viceroy agonized very much, and he went to find her, in other words, the king's daughter. And she lamented very much, and she said, "If you would have just come on that day, you wouldn't be taking me out here. Because of that one day, you lost." In other words, since he could not restrain himself this one day and he ate from the apple, because of that, you lost. That's what she told him. And then she said something else. She says, "In truth, this is where we reach until now." He says, "In truth, not to eat is a very difficult thing, especially on the last day when the evil inclination becomes very strong." That is, the king's daughter told him that now she would make the prohibition more lenient, and he would not be forbidden to eat because it is a hard thing to abide by. Therefore, choose yourself a place again, and also stay there for years before. On the last day, you will be permitted to eat, but do not sleep. And do not drink wine, so you should not so sleep, because the main thing is sleep. And he went and he did so. We talk about the Shechina, which is the daughter of the king, tells him he has to take a year. A year is something that symbolizes the entire cycle. The entire cycle of winter and spring and summer and autumn. Each one of this is against it's parallel to the four elements. You see, there is a great thing to be said about Sorry about that. About spikes of Avodas Hashem. It's tremendously important. You can build yourself a whole olam haba from these spikes. Rabbi Yitzchok, Zichrono Livracha, used to say that I don't remember where this medrash is. So the Gemara says "Kepid shel negel." It's like a peck of a rooster. In other words, the Kadosh Baruch Hu says to Am Yisrael, if you only have this chus, like a peck of a rooster, like a rooster's peck, says, I will deliver you. So I believe Yitzchak used to say, what is this? The Muslim said also with halachas. He says, what is this inyan of a rooster's peck? He says, when you see a chicken, it's all over a pile of garbage, and what does it do? It goes around looking, and then it sees a kernel of something, or maybe a crumb of bread, whatever it is, and it pecks. It just picks it up. The Avodas Hashem, our Avodas Hashem, is akin to that peck, this peck of the rooster that keeps on picking up another morsel, another crumb, another kernel. This is our Avodas Hashem. It says, "L'regaim echanek." I will test you for moments. It's really something to say. When you're talking about the big tzaddikim, so by them, the yardstick was a lifetime. Rabbeinu said about the Rebbe of Zisha that he served the Kodesh Baruch Hu with one oomph for 37 years. In other words, every once in a while, we get excited. We say, something, that's it, I'm starting now. How long does it last? Well, every person, it lasts as much as it long. It lasts maybe a day, maybe a minute, maybe an hour, maybe a week, maybe a month, whatever it is, maybe a year. Rebbe Zisha, it lasted for 37 years, nonstop. So, obviously people say, what do you want to compare me to Rebbe Zisha, the brother of Rebbe Melech? What are you talking about? Well, you have to understand that during his time, we spoke about it, during his time, before he became known as the Rebbe of Zisha, he was called, they used to call him the crazy Melamed. I remember there was one Chashuv of Breslev Chassid that used to be next to a shikun of certain Hasidus, and one of the important guys over there, told me he saw that Breslev going around, with his eyes closed and people leading him, and he made fun of him. He was like, what does he think he is? So I said, but the Choizer of Lublin also did that. Come on. What are you comparing, this person to the Choizer of Lublin? I mean, come on, Yeah. So I said, the Choizer of Lublin also was not a Choizer of Lublin before he did that. You know, hindsight is always 2020. But when the Chayzer Lublin was doing that, people thought he's insane. People thought, they called him the crazy Malamed. Pinchas Koletzer, Kodesh, 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 Kodeshim. When he was young, he used to call him the deaf Bacher, the deaf boy. Why? Because he didn't listen to anyone. He was just doing his thing, and Avodas Hashem, he didn't care about anything else. Hello, nobody home. Because the call was just a deaf, something that. So by the tzaddikim, the test is a lifetime. But when it comes to us, we're tested by moments. There's a moment here, there's a moment there. Here we chop it. It's like a pichet on the go, like a peck of a rooster. This is our Avodas Hashem. Used to say, Reb Nosson wrote the Sefer of Chayei Moharan. He says, because Rabbeinu lived a full life. When Reb Nosson wrote his own memoirs, he called it Yemei Mohanat, the days of Reb Nosson. Rabbeinu had a life. I had days. So Rabbi Yitzchak used to say, Reb Nosson had days. We have seconds, milliseconds, here, there. That said, still, there has to be a semblance of a year. You can't keep on riding the highs. You can't just keep on, swaying up and down, and this uncontrollable joyride nonstop. It happens as is anyhow. But the thing is that beneath the ups and downs, there has to be a foundation of solid habits. This is signified by a year, a full year, a full cycle. The four seasons. Everything is included in it. In fact, in the very beginning, before a person has a semblance of permanence, an established habit, things are very wild. He needs to do very, very stringent avodas. We all had to go through, tearing ourselves from whatever past we have, find, whatever things we needed to do, to tear ourselves from that. And then we went up, and then we went down, we went up, and we went down. But after a while, we have established a reality for us. This is presented in the year. That's what we do. We live amongst from people, we go to shul, daven, daven better, daven less. We do whatever it is that we have, but there's already a certain bottom line, you can call it. That's our quote unquote standard of living spiritually. That's what we do. We learn more or less, but it's something that we do. We do it on a constant basis. By the way, this is one of the things that is so important about this particular share, is that we have a full year. We already have a full year of this year. It's something established. It is a raised, in level. You go up a level. And there's a certain permanence in it. Within that permanence, you already have your trials and tribulations and your ups and your downs, whatever it is. But all in all, we don't have to fight tooth and nail for every single mitzvah that we want to do. Do you remember how difficult it was to keep the first Shabbos? And how difficult it was to do this or to do that, whatever it is, and to go around and to grow a beard and pay us and whatever it is, each one. And we were like, the cutting edge, we broke through, we did it. Then we went back, and then we went forwards, and we went back, and we went forwards. And after a while, we managed it. That which was like, whoa, man, that's beyond me. This is like way out of my league. It became our day-to-day reality. This is extremely important. You can see that even though the viceroy fell asleep, she told him now she's going to be more lenient. Now things are going to be easier for him. Things are going to be easier for him because he has already established a basis of Yiddishkeit. This is something that we need to do. This is so important to be a part of society, a part of friends that are in the Avodas Hashem, and to go to the shul and go to the same shul and be consistent. It's extremely important. Let us for a minute go back to the story and see a little bit on what's going on here. This is not the one. I apologize. Hold on. Man, I'm on top of my game tonight, ain't I? All right. So he went and did so. This is for the second time. Choose a separate place again. Stay there for a year as before. On the last day, you'll be permitted to eat, but don't sleep. Sleep means falling on, not recognizing what reality really is. That's what sleep is. It's a mixture of oblivion and imagination. This is what sleep is. They said the main thing is don't sleep, but stay away from wine so that you don't fall asleep, because the main thing is sleep. And this is the fact that he's told here not to drink wine, right? But that is not the end all. That's not the end game. The end game is just you shouldn't sleep. In other words, if you can take some kind of uppers, I don't know, some Ritalin, whatever it is, and even if you drink wine, you'll stay awake. I don't know, drink a lot of coffee. I don't know, whatever it is, it will be okay. But we find that this is not necessarily so. On the last day, he was going there and he saw a running spring. He was going to take the princess out. And he saw a running spring and its color was red and the smell was of wine. He asked the servant, have you seen? Give a cook, take a look. Amazing. With the thumbkin. This is a spring and there ought to be water in it. But its color is red and the smell of wine. Why is he asking a question? All right, so you can say he wondered, something very curious. He says, no, no, no. And he went and tasted from the spring. He immediately fell down and slept for many years, until 70 years. Many soldiers were going with their train and following them, behind them. And the servant hid himself because of the soldiers. And after that went a carriage and covered wagons, and there sat the king's daughter. And she stood next to him, and she went down, and she sat next to him, recognized him, and she tried very much to wake him, but he could not be woken. And she started to lament over him that so many great efforts and toils and tortuously made all these many years in order to take me out. And one day when you could have taken me out, you completely lost. And she cried very much and said, there's a great pity on you and me. I'm here such a long time, cannot go out. Afterwards, she took the scarf off her head and she wrote on it with her tears and laid it down next to him. I stood up and sat in her carriage and rode away. It is said afterwards, it says, afterwards he walked and he asked this attendant, where am I in the world? Same question. And he told the whole story. The many soldiers came, they passed him, the carriage was in, and the daughter of the king was here, and she screams, a great pity on me and him. Meantime, he glanced and noticed that the scarf laying next to him. And he asked, who is this from? And he, which means the servant, answered him, she left it behind. She wrote it with her tears. He took the scarf and raised it up against the sun, and he began to see letters and read over what was written there. Her lamentations and her cries is mentioned. It was written there that now she is no longer in the castle. Just search for a golden mountain and a pearl castle. There you'll find me. Okay. The story seems to get sorrier and sorrier. The first time, he's ordered not to sleep, not to eat. He failed on the eating part. Second time, she said, you can eat, just don't sleep. And don't drink wine so you don't sleep. So he goes and he sees this river and he asks this question of his a curious thing, it's a river, but it's red and smells like wine. You ever seen anything like this? What is this? As we asked before. And he tastes for it and he falls asleep for 17 years. Falling asleep for 7 years means falling off all the facets of the Torah, everything. But then he says, and put him around. And there comes the princess, and she cries and she laments and she tells him, for one day you lost everything, and now she's no longer where she was before. It seems like now, if things were difficult before, you had to go for a whole place, for a whole year, at the end of the year, either fast and not sleep and not drink wine, whatever it is. And now that's it. She's not there anymore. And so we'll see later on that he's looking for such a place and nobody knows of such a place at all. A golden mountain and a pearl castle. It seems to be like a story of exercise and futility, failure upon failure upon failure. So let's take one aspect over here, the one that actually with the difference between the apple and the wine. Okay, why the drinking the wine, dropped him from all 70 facets of the Torah. Well, eating the apple was just a few years. Eating the apple, he was still able to find her in the same place. Once he drank the wine, fell asleep from all 70 facets. That's it. She's no longer anymore. She's not there anymore. What is the difference between the wine and the apple? The apple, he saw the apple is beautiful. It's this represents, Gashmas Dikataiva. It can be taiva for women, it can be taiva for money, it can be taiva for food, it can be any one of those things. The thing that made him falter with the sleep was just curiosity. In other words, it's not a taiva. It was a mental curiosity. It's just interesting. I mean, it's like, who would ever seen anything like this? I don't want to drink. I just want to taste to see what it is. I just want to solve a riddle. It's not about satisfying a taiva. But the spiritual taivas are worse than the physical taivas. A person falls in a physical taiva, okay. It seems when you drop, it seems like nothing happened, but in reality, you are falling asleep from a few facets of the Torah. When you start finding excuses, this is when you fall from all the facets of the Torah. And the thing is, it's a very important nakuda, where a person needs to be really very honest with himself. And that is, what did he do when he asked the servant, what is this? It looks like a stream and looks like wine, smells like wine. What he's asking? What do you want? If it looks like a duck and it walks like a duck and it sounds like a duck, it's a duck. No, what do you want? But many times, there is a hidden desire to drink wine. Wine is a euphemism for secret, for soid. It's the same gematria. But we are warned, don't drink the wine so you don't fall asleep. In other words, drinking wine in and on itself, there's nothing wrong with it. But if you don't drink it properly, you'll fall asleep. Not only fall asleep, you'll fall asleep from all the facets you're falling off for 70 years. All the facets of the term. What's going on here? How did he come to that? The thing is that he, and we obviously, we want to do something that we know we are not supposed to do. So just to go ahead and do it, I mean, what do you take me for? So what we do is we find an excuse. I don't really want to drink. Me, drink? What are you talking about? I'm the furthest thing from drink in the world. I hate drinking. It's very curious. It's like it's very strange, very interesting. It's supposed to be like wine. It looks like wine. It smells like wine. It's a river. It's just for the sake of science. For testing purposes. I don't really want the wine, right? It's like an alcoholic that goes to a bar, drops into a bar. He's not going there to drink. So why are you going there? No, a friend of mine, he owes me 200 shekels. And I can't find, and many times he goes to this bar. So I figured, I'll go to this bar and I'll find him. I'll get the 200 shekels from him. Right. What happens next? I mean, it's as inevitable as taking something and dropping it on the ground. That kind of self-delusion, like we're making ourselves stupid. You know what I mean? We're sort of like, uh, no, not really. I mean, no, don't get me wrong. I have absolutely nothing to do with it. Me. The furthest thing from my mind, what are you talking about? It's just that, I need to. Rabbeinu says that this is called too many emissaries, too many truths. Rabbeinu says a person needs to do things for Kodesh Baruch Hu. He says, and when he davens, not to make movements for people to be impressed by. He says, and if he's really a little bit of a El Chiyid, he wants to do movements. He wants people to think good things about him. But he's El Chiyid. He's ashamed, to be faking this movement. So what does he do? In his own mind, he brings up all these excuses where he really means and really needs to do those movements. Then he does them. And he finds a truth to cover up the lie. We find truth to cover up our lies. Rabbeinu said this truth is too much. The main thing is just one truth, doing for Kodesh Baruch Hu. With your permission, B'ezrat Hashem, we will stop here because there's still a lot to be accomplished. B'ezrat Hashem, on Thursday, Mitzvah Hashem, we will meet again for the Shir of Likutei Moharan.